Cool. So I think we are now recording. Actually, let me do one more thing, which is go to this, and then
Just kidding.
I couldn't hear you. I saw your mouth. Oh, you got me good, man. I was like, whoa, we got a major problem right as we were recording. Hello, everybody. I am here today with Rick Campbell at Van York Auto Group in High Point, North Carolina. We got it right this time. Rick, how are you doing today?
Excellent, my friend. Dan, good talking to you.
Great seeing you as well for the first time, actually. So for those who aren't familiar with you, give yourself a little bit of intro, a background, a history of how you got into the automotive business.
I started in 1991 as a salesperson. And I sold cars, and actually I was in the top of selling for years. And then in 2005, I had a real estate company that was doing well, and it still is by the grace of God. And I wanted to work a little bit less, but still wanted to keep my insurance. So I came to the general manager at the time, and I said, can you put me in a part-time job, just enough to get my insurance? And he said, well, Toyota is pressuring me to get an internet manager. Right? They've had internet managers before. They sold one or two cars, and so he didn't think it would be much. I didn't either, but it gave me the hours that I wanted. It gave me the time that I wanted. He said, you're not going to sell much from this, but at least it'll satisfy Toyota or Southeast Toyota. So I took the job. My first month, I sold 9 cars. And I came to him and I said, look at this. And he said, you know that's not going to happen again, don't you? And I said, yeah, I agree. And next month, I sold 9 cars. I was working as many hours as I had before, so I thought I'd get the salespeople to help me. And we'd split the deals. That next month, we sold 36 cars, 18 cars, half deals, whatever you want to say. And the following month, we sold another 36. The following month, 36. It was amazing, the changes. It was about 3 months later, I got to do my first email campaign. Just on one email campaign to our internal database that I just come up with myself, we sold 9 cars on that. So Mr. York liked it so much, he had me we put internet managers in each store, and I got to train them. Then in 2007, he asked me to be the e-commerce director for the group, and that's when I became the e-commerce director. And then that encompassed training them, the internet managers taking over, and also handling budget, cost of sales, ROI, everything that involves with e-commerce. And now we're averaging 400 internet sales a month among our dealerships, around 433 a month through all our dealerships combined. We have a great team, a great staff, and great processes.
That's awesome. So when you're a part of a large group like Van York, what are some of the challenges that comes with dealing with all these different stores?
You hit the nail on the head. There are challenges, without a doubt, a lot of challenges. Every day is a new challenge with a lot of moving parts. Training our internet managers, our sales staff, our BDRs is probably my greatest challenge. Number one, you have some coming and going, and you've got to retrain them our process. Also, making that our process is done. We have a 5-day follow-up. That is crucial. We have found out that 30% of our sales are sold within the first 5 days. Yet it's so easy for our people to make the first day or 2 calls, and then the process drops off. So keeping that process is vital. Another thing is with Google, and I know, Dan, you and I have worked together on this a lot. The search pages are a moving target. Google has a tendency of making these unannounced algorithm changes, I'll get it out, and we have to watch out for. What is true today in the search market could be a total lie tomorrow. You've got to be on top of it. You've got to constantly search your model pages, your home pages. You've got to make sure that everything's right. That is, and again, another situation I deal with. We've got to be careful on the changes we make, because if we make too many changes, we don't know what worked and what didn't work. So we've got to go slow. Now, when I first started this business in 2005, I learned about search engine optimization, and they let me do it. I found out the hard way by making a mistake in 2005. My Toyota, which had always been well, we wound up on page 14 because I had done some stuffing and some other things that were not right. Took a while to go. It was long before fusionZONE, let me say that. I could get away with it then because, people didn't keep up with it. But that was a hard lesson. And with this Google core update that took place last March, I will say this, I'm not just blowing smoke. You know what we went through. You guys were crucial in getting us through that. I thank you for that. We've been able to maintain top search in all our areas for all our conquest marketing that we need to. That is huge.
Do you find that some of your more younger, new hires take to this stuff more than more of the old school guys, or do you think it's not even a generational thing at all?
When it comes to the younger people in sales, we have a young guy at one of our dealerships who is involved in the texting and sending in videos. And when you put him in front of a customer, it's hard for him to relate. But if he starts that online process, the video walk around, once all that is done and the customer comes in, it is great. But when you're asking also, do the newer people get involved in the back end of the website and things like that? We don't have anyone that does that. It's basically me and you guys. And if something goes wrong, they're going to let me know. Now, let me tell you that.
So with the digital trends becoming more apparent, with more third parties out there, it gets a little tough to, divide through all of the stuff you guys get sent. I mean, I'm sure you guys get sent millions of things every day saying, hey, come to buy this new product. Come try our new fancy tool that's going to, double your leads and whatever. How do you determine which of your third parties are valuable partners in your business, and how do you determine which ones are just, not there for your best interest?
First of all, I get about 300 emails a day. All right. And I probably miss a lot of the sales emails, but I get enough. We have a process at our stores where our internet managers, they're paid on internet deals. Okay. What do I mean by an internet deal? If they call in and they say they saw it on Google, that don't count. All right. It's got to be a lead that came in from either the website, the third party, or whatever. Now, the problem with most CRMs, and ours as well, is that a person may have saw you online, you may have made the appointment online, and then they come in and they put it into the CRM as a phone up or a walk-in. A lot of, so the reports on the back end of the CRM doesn't reflect that. All my internet managers, to get paid, and I'm not sure if this is something we want to reveal, but that's up to you guys. They're required to keep an Excel sheet of the customer's name, the customer's email, phone number, what vehicle they bought, and what the source was. And then we trace it back to the original lead. A lot of work. Okay, that's a lot of work. But what it does, it gives us a true ROI of the lead source. And we compile that every month. And we can tell you how many cars did TrueCar sell for us that month, or Car Gurus, or Cars.com, or Auto Trader. And I say that because TrueCar has a lagging indicator. We may have sold it. It's got to be closed in the system. They may have said we sold 5, but we have for that month 4. Our reports are gospel, and that's what we use. And we can then look at that and look at the money that we spend, and that tells us what we need to do. And we've cut a lot of people because we found out through those reports that they were too expensive. They wasn't performing. And that is probably one thing that sets our dealership apart than anybody else that I know of, is we have reports that are probably more accurate than any other dealership that I'm aware of.
Do you think that's a large part of your success, or do you think it's one of like many things that you guys do that sets you guys apart?
It's a lot of moving parts. My success is I rely on my team. I rely on my internet. I rely on my BDRs. I rely on the salespeople. That process and following that process will either make or break a team, and it will make or break me. So let's just say this. So what if we've got the best SEO? So what if we've got the best SEM out there, the best display? We've got the best third parties, and we've got a high lead generation. If we don't take care of those customers, if we do not follow up with them on a regular basis, if we don't send relevant answers and text, and we do not meet their customers' needs, there's somebody else who will. There's a saying that one of the general managers at one of the stores said, if you ignore them long enough, they're going to leave. And that's the way it is. So it is the team that I rely on to make it successful.
How often are you guys toying around with the way you guys intake leads, follow up, communicate with your customers, versus trying to iron out what you currently have? Do you throw everything against the wall, or do you kind of stick with the same process?
We basically had the same process now for about 6 years. We update a few things, but if you look at the basic process, we've had that basic process going back to, I'm going to say the basic process has been in place probably 8 or 9 years, and we've tried to update it. What is that process? And it's no secret. Most people know this. They don't do it. So I can tell you what it is. Going back to what our results are, and these are real results, 30 to 35% of your customers who submit a lead. Now, this is form leads. This is not phone-ups or walk-ins, but on internet customers and form lead customers, 30 to 35% of them, depending on the store, are going to buy within the first 5 to 6 days. It is important that we text those customers and we call those customers, not once, not twice, maybe 3 times until we contact them. We look at their objections, we look at their needs, we look at what they're finding, and we try to find solutions. What is the objective? The objective is to get the appointment and get them in, and hoping then that our sales process will convert them into a sale. Now, in this time of COVID, we're finding that we're having to do more going to the customer, and they're requiring more of the process to be done online. Well, we're ready for that as well. And but still, it goes back to the old-fashioned term of follow-up. Good follow-up and relevant answers, and finding their hot points, finding their objections. Most people, they're looking for a car. We're their solution. We've got to provide the solution of why this car, or whatever car they're looking for, is going to work for them.
So a hot button, obviously, is COVID. and what it has changed, and what has forced a lot of dealers to change, in the way they look at their websites, the way they look at their sales process. You guys said that you were ready when this came to have more of the process be taken digitally. What were some of the steps that you think is critical to have on your website to ensure that when people come there, they're able to stick and you're able to get that lead or, follow up with them?
They want to be able to do as much of the process online as possible. Secondly, they want to know, and Dan, I appreciate your team because we were putting you guys through the ringer on this. We had a pop-up that we put up on our site. It was designed by Mr. York himself. We had a message that we put up on our website, and that explains the process of sales and service. And they want to know, number one, will we, for service, it's amazing how many people want us to pick up and deliver their vehicles back to them. They want to know that their cars are sanitized before they're delivered back to them. They want to know that we're following the process of mask and sanitation. And then the buyers, they want to get as much done ahead of time as possible. They want their car, they'll go and they'll get evaluation of their trade. They'll send their credit application online. And more than ever before, our salespeople are sending walk-around videos that they're doing themselves, and they're communicating through text, getting almost, I would say probably 70 or 80% of the process done before either the customer comes in or they deliver the car to the customer. Now, if I can say this, surprisingly, you'd think that more people want us to deliver the cars to them, and that was maybe the first few days. That was still a high number. It still is. But most people still want to come in. They still want to look at the car. They still want to drive it without us going to them. That hadn't come to that point yet that I think it will eventually, where people are just going to go online and buy.
But what would you really think it would take to get it over the hump, to get maybe 30 to 50% of people all buying a car directly online without walking to a shop?
I don't know. I have a friend of mine who is tech savvy all day long. In fact, he's probably bought 15, 20 cars in the last 2 years. He just loves cars. Wow. He makes great deals. He very rarely winds upside down, so I have a lot of respect for him. He looked at Carvana on a car, and he would not go all the way through the process because he has to drive the vehicle. He has to get the feel of the vehicle, and he wants to make sure that the equipment that he wants is on there, that he's not reading something. Now, he is the most tech-savvy guy I know. So I can't help but wonder how much driving and feeling and sensing that car will keep this 30 or 40 or 50% of the people from doing it. That is the one thing that your online experience cannot replace, and that is the experience that you do get inside of a showroom with the salesperson driving the car. So I don't know that I have a real answer for that.
Something that comes to mind when I think about Van York is the diversity of how many OEMs you guys work with. I mean, you guys have everything under the sun, basically, from GM to Honda to Nissan to Toyota, everything. What are you finding as time goes on and everything becomes more digital? Some of the differences between these OEMs.
You have some OEMs who are prepared for the digital world. Okay, and I'm since I work with so many, I'm not going to name which ones are and are not. But you have others who are just now ramping up and getting prepared. Just like it's amazing if one OEM is pushing the digital aspect of it and the process through digital, then the local dealerships follow suit. But if you've got another OEM who's just learning or not involved, then also the local dealers are not involved. So it gives us a chance to get a little step up on them. All of them are becoming more involved with the digital world than ever before. All of them have good OEM websites. It's more on the district and dealership level where I see the biggest opportunities.
How involved were you with jumping from just being on fusionZONE to being with fusionZONE through the TDDS program?
I was totally involved.
Okay.
From the very start. I resisted it too, and found out that I had no choice, so I had to go along with the program. I like the idea of being able to be independent of an OEM. I like that a lot. But there is an advantage of the OEMs selecting websites in the sense that you have more, that there's more uniform code, more uniform measuring. They can work together sometimes so that the specials are up quicker, or that there is some promotion that I don't have to look for and follow. That's something that has saved me a little bit of time with TDS. So I'm glad fusionZONE is involved, is now a certified vendor with Nissan. Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
What do you think more and more of these programs are going to evolve into over time? Do you think that this is kind of going to be the cap of how much they're going to really do? Or do you think as time goes on, the OEMs are going to put more pressure for more uniformity, for more baseline offerings on all the services?
The way it looks to me, and this is looking to the future, is I think that the OEMs are going to get so involved. Now, I could be wrong, but what I see coming is the OEMs are going to be so involved with every aspect that our dealership websites may not look much different than the OEM website in the way the setup is on the front end and the back end, that you may not be able to tell one dealership from the next with just a few minor changes, because everything is going to be required to look like the manufacturer's site. I could be wrong.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, most of your car sales are about making that personal connection.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And what sets your dealership apart? You know, most dealerships are pretty much the same. It's just the message that you have and what do you do for your community. That means a lot to a lot of people. What you've done for your community and how you separate yourself, not just as a car dealership, but as a local citizen of the community. A lot of dealerships do things, but a lot of people don't know it. So it's important that you get that message out. Your website's a good point where you can tell this is what we do for our community. This is why we care, and has nothing to do with sales. It's just because we've been successful, we're able to give back.
Right. You want to walk us through and our listeners through what you guys do for community involvement? Anything you do with charities or anything you do with community events?
One of Mr. York's is a program called Feeding Lisa's Kids. Him and a lot of the employees, and most employees, will get together, I think once every other week, and they will gather food at this church, and then they will deliver to families in need. It's called Feeding Lisa's Kids. That's a big deal. The other thing is that the York sponsor, and the employees help on the Habitat for Humanity. They go in and they build houses or help build houses. The other thing is, the name escapes me, but they help the homeless in halfway houses, and they have programs to help people who have been through drug abuse or getting off drugs. Of course, the United Way. they help with that. I wish I had a list here, but it goes on and on and on and on. I'll have to send you a list of that if you want that. It is just tremendous what they do. And this is not just they don't do this as a sales tactic. These are things that the Yorks really care about. And I'll tell you something else. I know this is all. Miss York cares about every employee. Every employee. And to my knowledge, I don't know of any other dealership, and I've seen a lot of my friends who do this, the Yorks, and it started by Miss York, Van York's wife, probably 30, 40 years ago. They prepare Christmas baskets for every employee with oranges, apples, candies, all kinds of treats. I mean, this is a huge bushel basket, and they give it to every employee. That is the highlight. I know people highlight it as getting a check, but other than getting their check every week, this is a highlight of every employee of Van York, and they're passionate about making sure not just the community's taken care of, but they love their employees. And I don't know if this is going to get out or not. This could be between me and you, but that makes a difference in your loyalty of your staff. They know New York's care. The things that happen from the standpoint of the employer to the employee, it's not business. It is a very personal relationship that Mr. York has with his salespeople, with his managers, with his staff. He has an open door. People talk about having an open door. Mr. York has an open door. If there's problems, they're going to come and they're going to talk to him. It's amazing the relationship that he has with his people.
Rick, I'm going to end off with this question. Again, we talked a lot about the future, what it's going to look like. What do you think the biggest impact someone can do to their website today with digital marketing is? Is it something like SEO? Is it something like PPC? What do you think makes the most impact today?
If you're choosing between PPC and SEO, I'm going to go with SEO every single day of the week, because your PPC campaign will last while you're paying for it. But if you have good SEO, it's there until Google decides it wants to make some changes. But it's there, okay? And if you get it right, it's free. Other than the fact of what it costs to do the work, do the legwork. So PPC is good, it's necessary, but it cannot beat it. Good SEO, content writing, research papers, or research model pages. Nothing can beat good SEO. And together we have proven that, Dan, and I know I call you and bug the daylights out of you from time to time, but it works. And but one thing that sets you guys apart, and I was in a meeting with you guys, and I was trying to say, you got to tell them this and this and this. Number one, your sites are totally responsive. There's one site out there that uses Adaptive. That was in one of the meetings I was with. That just doesn't seem to work well. A lot of times, it's just not as good as a responsive site. So for anybody who's looking at a site, make sure they're responsive, not adaptive. Secondly, how easy is their coding and how easy does their pages load? Load time, and let's face it, dealerships have got a lot of widgets in their pages. They've got a lot of inventory, a lot of photos. So that is the challenge of all websites, to make those websites as fast as possible. So that is important. Understanding that that it's not always the website provider's fault if it can't be fast. But that's another tech that you want to look at. Now, as far as you go, what makes you better? First of all, your staff is top rate. I will call you guys, and Dan, I call you guys 4 times a day, fleshing out ideas and things like that. and you guys are really responsive. And you'll send me things, and I don't like it. I like something. We work together. It's a collaboration that I have with you guys that I've not seen with any other place. And there's another thing. We were talking about follow-up, Dan. Your fast ring product. Right now, we have it set in our stores that it goes to all the managers and the BDRs. Not just, so your people may not know what fast ring is. Some of them, most of them do, others may not. But whenever fusionZONE has a source where if they submit a lead through fusionZONE or through any third party that we have, since we're with fusionZONE, like Cars.com, Auto Trader, Car Gurus, when they submit that ring, that lead, a ring comes to our manager's desk and our BDR's desk. And it says, customer, you have John Doe with Black Book Online looking to purchase A. Click one. We click one. And we get so many surprises of the customers. I just got off the website. How are you so fast? Remember what I talked about follow-up? There's another saying, and one of the general managers say it. The large don't eat the small, but the fast eat the slow. And Fast Ring has been able to keep us in the loop. And another thing, by you guys, I'm sorry to bring this up, but by you telling us that the Black Book Online, we can address that customer. Hey, you've got a car we want to buy. Tell us more about it, and it starts the conversation immediately. So you've got a great SEO program. Your support is great. Your Fast Ring is incredible, and and you're responsive. The Fast Ring and all that sets you guys apart. You didn't ask me to advertise for you, but this is my advertisement for you guys and why we choose fusionZONE for our stores.
I want that on the record. That was not paid for. that was Rick. We didn't ask him to go.
That was
Again, I want to thank you for sitting down and talking with me today. I'm sure the people who listen, we're going to get a lot of insight from you and enjoy our conversation. So, Rick, thank you again. I am very sure we will talk very soon, as we do most days.
Absolutely. Dan, again, it's good to see the face behind the voice. Good to see you.
All right, Rick, you have a good one.
You too.